So with the 2021-2022 NBA season starting really soon, I decided now was as good of a time as any to start discussing every single team before the season starts. I'll be going in the order of the worst to the best teams in the NBA for my own predictions for this upcoming year. And right now I'm at the number 25 spot and I have the San Antonio Spurs, meaning I think they'll be the 25th best team in the NBA this upcoming season. So in today's video, I'll basically just be discussing how good I think the Spurs will be this upcoming season and just discussing their young players and things like that. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. To start the video off, I just want to discuss how good I think the Spurs will be on the offensive side of the floor. And I just want to say I think they'll be pretty bad on that side of the floor because this is just not a team filled with a crazy amount of offensive talent. They have guys who could score, but they don't have true bucket getters. And they don't have guys on this roster who I'm certain will average over 20 points per game. I don't think they have a single player like that. And yes, they do have players who could average over 20 points, but I wouldn't predict it. And even last year, they had DeMar DeRozan, who was an all-star player, and they still ranked only as the 20th best offense last year, which is obviously below average. And I think they're going to take a step back this year without him, and I think this team is heading into the rebuilding direction. But to discuss one of their young players, discuss their young players and how I think they'll do on offense this upcoming year, first I want to talk about DeJounte Murray, he's a guy who's shown a lot of promise last season as he averaged 15 points and 5 assists while playing all-NBA level defense. I definitely think he's one of the better guards in the NBA, and I very soon expect him to take that leap to averaging around 18 points and 7 assists and being an all-star level player without DeMar DeRozan. I think he'll probably be the first or second option on this team. Definitely high on him. They also have Keldon Johnson, who's a guy who I think will be the best player on this team. And if anyone's going to average 20 points on this team, it would probably be him because I believe he truly has potential to be a legit all-star in this league. And he has the highest potential to become a superstar. I wouldn't expect him to be a superstar, but I definitely think he has the most potential on this team. I definitely expect his averages to go up to around 18 to maybe even 20 points per game. I wouldn't bet on him averaging 20 points per game, but I would definitely bet on him averaging somewhere around 16 to 18. I definitely think he'll be in the talks for most improved player this upcoming year. I really love his game, and especially how much he just tries and cares about the game. I really expect Derek White to really improve this upcoming year because over the last few seasons he's been injured for most of the year, and people are expecting him to take that star leap after that playoff run in 2019, but due to injuries he hasn't been able to really show that since he hasn't been healthy. But I think if he can stay healthy, there is a chance that he could show the potential of whether or not he could be an actual star in the NBA or just a solid point guard. I definitely think he's underrated. I'm kind of curious to see what he's gonna do. I think he's probably gonna average somewhere around 14 to 16 points per game, which is definitely solid. Lonnie Walker is a guy who's pretty on and off, but I do think he has the potential to be a really good bench player. I don't know if he's going to be a star or anything like that, like people are predicting. Maybe he could surprise me. He does have good athleticism, good shooting ability, and a solid handle and things like that. But right now, I just see him as a guy who's going to be one of those explosive six-man players who just get buckets off the bench and provide offense off the bench, things like that. But maybe he could surprise and become a star or better than that. To talk about their second-year player in Devin Vassell, he's just a guy who I think will be an amazing 3-and-D player. And I think him getting way more consistent minutes this year, he's definitely going to look to improve and maybe even average around 8 to 10 points per game while playing really good defense and shooting 38% from 3. And finally, to talk about the rookie who they selected with the 12th overall pick in Josh Primo, I don't know how good he's going to be straight out the gate just due to the fact that that he's a prospect who definitely needs to work on his game a little bit to reach his best level. He's also just very skinny, and that usually doesn't bode well in the NBA unless you're like Kevin Durant or something. But I do think there's a chance he can be a star player because he has a great handle, great shooting ability to hit difficult shots. But anyways, this Spurs team is just not going to be amazing on offense. They don't really have a crazy amount of offensive talent, and they don't have a single player who's at an all-star level right now, in my opinion. And even if they did have one, as we saw last year with DeRozan, it was only good enough for them to make the 10th seed. So I think their offense will rank somewhere around the 25th to 30th in the NBA. Now to talk about the Spurs on defense. And over the last decade or so, the Spurs have been known for their defense, but last season they were actually below average on defense, and if I'm being honest, I expect them to stay around the same level they were last year because I don't think they improved on that side of the floor. And I also don't think they're going to be trying to win as much games as they were last year, and I doubt they're going to be giving full effort, and I just don't think they're going to be like an elite defensive team because they do have solid defensive talent, but last year didn't make them a great defensive team because they have DeJounte Murray's really good defender, Keldon Johnson's a really good defender, Thaddeus Young's a really good defender, Derek White before his injury was a really good defender, and so is Devin Vassell. So don't act like this is just like a bad defensively talented team, but they just weren't good on defense last year, and I have no reason to believe they'll randomly be good, especially when I don't think they're going to be a good team overall, so they're probably not giving full effort. Also, let me not forget to mention they have quite a few guys who are not good on defense, and you could argue they're actual liabilities, with Josh Primo just due to his lack of strength and stuff, and he's not like a really lanky guy. Also, Zach Collins cannot guard the perimeter to save his life. Lonnie Walker is inconsistent at times. Doug McDermott is not a good defender. And Bryn Forbes is actually one of the worst defenders in the whole NBA. So I just don't think the Spurs will be that good on defense. To answer the question of why the Spurs are ranked number 25 on my list, it's only because I don't think this is a team that will be good on offense or defense, and obviously you're not going to win games if you do like that. They don't have a guy who I think will for sure average over 20 points per game, and they're very top heavy. They don't have a crazy amount of depth, and on defense they weren't good last year, and on offense they weren't good last year, so they made no moves that I think made them better on either floor, and they probably even got worse losing DeRozan. I just think this is a roster that is going in the direction of tanking, and I think that's the smart thing to do since they don't have a guy on this roster who I think will for sure be a superstar level player. I'm not disrespecting the Spurs or sleeping on them, because I remember last year I made a video on why I didn't think the Spurs would make the playoffs, and a bunch of people started getting angry and stuff, but I ended up being right. But nonetheless, I don't think the Spurs will be good this season, and I think they'll have their worst season in decades. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know how good you think the Spurs will be. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And I'm out.